When 25-year-old Danica Ray Hollister vanished from her Charleston apartment, it didn't make the news right away. People go missing. Young women forget to call back. But those who knew Danica, her mother, her roommate, her friends at the cafe, knew something was wrong. Danica was steady. She walked Ozzy, her German shepherd, every morning before her shift. She texted her mom every night. On June 3, 2021, she promised she'd be home after work. She never came back. Her roommate found Ozzy pacing in circles, whining near the front door. Danica's keys were on the counter. Her phone was gone. The door was locked from the inside. Nothing looked disturbed. Nothing except for the silence. The police began with the basics: phone records, bank activity, canvassing the building. But something about the security footage stopped them cold. At 9:12 p.m., Danica walked into her building. She looked tired, carrying a tote bag, earbuds in. At 9:15, someone passed her door. The peephole caught only a blur, a shadow. At 9:32 p.m., the elevator doors opened. A man in a navy blue maintenance uniform rolled a janitorial bin down the hallway. The bin liner was dripping. The man was later identified as Jeremy Niles. 39 years old. Quiet. Reclusive. No family. Technically no longer employed by the building, he'd been evicted 3 weeks earlier for squatting in the maintenance shed. But he still had a master key. And he had stolen a uniform. Police traced Jeremy's last known whereabouts to a storage room in the basement. A cadaver dog led them to a locked supply closet behind the old boiler system. They forced it open with bolt cutters. Inside, the room smelled of bleach and rust. A single folding chair was duct taped to the floor. Blood splatter marked the far wall in looping arcs. A tripod stood empty. And in the corner, leaned unnaturally in the shadows, was what at first looked like a mannequin. It wasn't. It was Danica. She had been redressed in her work clothes. Her hair had been brushed. Her eyes forced open with clear adhesive. The coroner later determined she had been kept alive for nearly 22 hours. There were signs of sedation. Signs of restraint. Her death had been deliberate, methodical. Jeremy had filmed it all. A laptop was found near the scene. Inside, a folder labeled "Finale" contained a heavily edited video, Danica, tied to the chair, crying softly, begging. Jeremy's face never appears, but his voice narrates as if speaking to a live audience. He calls her the last muse. He talks about stillness, about beauty, about freezing time. It was a performance. But it was real. Police raided Jeremy's rented room in a motor lodge 22 miles outside the city. Room 14. He was watching the footage when they came in. Dressed in a fake security guard uniform. Calm. Cooperative. He made no attempt to flee. When asked why, he said, "They were beautiful. They needed to be still. I gave them that." But the case didn't end there. Jeremy's laptop contained another set of folders. One for each woman. Photos, notes, even voice recordings. 6 other women, all former tenants or building employees. None had gone missing. None had ever reported him. Their photos were dated, catalogued, and under each was a phrase: watched. Not ready. Waiting. Danica's folder had a red X. The most disturbing discovery came last. A hidden folder, encrypted but recoverable, revealed he had uploaded versions of his videos to a private Vimeo account. 47 subscribers. One subscriber, traced through a burner email, was a retired corrections officer in Georgia. This wasn't just a lone killer with a fixation. It was a network. Authorities believe Jeremy may have been part of an underground group, obsessive, methodical voyeurs trading in real-life horror. Some folders contained floor plans for buildings in Seattle, Chicago, Atlanta. No victims had been reported missing from those locations. Not yet. Jeremy Niles is serving life without parole. But investigators are still combing through what he left behind. And with every folder they open, one thing becomes more terrifyingly clear. He wasn't acting alone. And Danica? She may not have been the first. She almost certainly won't be the last. After Jeremy Niles was arrested, Charleston PD turned the case over to federal authorities. What they discovered in the days that followed would unravel into one of the most disturbing cyber investigations in recent history. The first major lead came from a single IP address, buried in Jeremy's laptop cache, logged during one of his Vimeo uploads. It didn't belong to him. It traced to a house in Decatur, Georgia. The homeowner, Walter Kearns, age 66, retired corrections officer. FBI agents knocked on Kearns' door at 4:13 a.m. on June 15. He answered in his bathrobe, confused, polite. But when they entered his den, the confusion vanished. The room was lined with hard drives. 7 monitors. A spreadsheet left open on the screen showed columns labeled: name, location, time observed, risk level. At the bottom, under latest acquisition, was Danica's name. Kearns confessed almost immediately, but not in the way agents expected. He wasn't remorseful. He was proud. He spoke of the Quiet Room Project. A private group, he claimed, dedicated to recording the purity of final moments. He said Jeremy was one of their youngest documentarians. Agents recovered 432 gigabytes of video files. Footage from hidden cameras. Hallway views. Bedroom windows. Grocery stores. Women being watched. Followed. Timed. Almost all of it recorded without their knowledge. Most had never been harmed. But not all. Buried deep within one of the drives, investigators found something horrifying. A zip file titled Still Life, Session 11. It was locked with a password. They cracked it 3 days later. Inside, a complete kill sequence. Not Danica. Someone else. A woman named Allison Price. 28. Seattle, Washington. Missing since 2018. Her case had gone cold. No body was ever recovered. But the video left no doubt. In it, Jeremy wears the same uniform. Uses the same chair. The same language. There had been at least one other before Danica. Possibly more. FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit now believed this was a serial network, interconnected by encrypted forums, burner emails, and black market cloud hosts. Not for money. Not for fame. For ritual. One agent described it as a cult. Another, as a decentralized horror studio. But it wasn't until they searched Jeremy's cloud backup that they found the manifesto. 87 pages. Written in fragments. Half poetry, half instruction manual. Titled, The Final Curtain. It read, Stillness is truth. Movement is chaos. Still them, and you reveal the divine. There were references to others. Codename-like aliases, the collector. J.S., the carpenter. One entry simply read, The conductor awaits instructions. They weren't acting alone. And the most terrifying part? Some of these names were still logging in. On July 4th, a dormant Vimeo account uploaded a 12-second teaser clip. Static. Then a frame of a woman sitting in a chair. Duct-taped. Crying. It wasn't Danica. It wasn't Allison. It was someone new. Authorities issued a blackout on the clip. They began scrambling facial recognition teams. The account had been created just 2 days earlier, from Bucharest, Romania. No one had any idea who the woman was. Or whether she was still alive. Then, on July 10th, the FBI received a single encrypted message through their tip line. No sender. No trace. Just one sentence. We are not done recording. When the anonymous tip came in, we are not done recording, federal agents knew they were no longer chasing a killer. They were chasing a system. A week after the encrypted Vimeo teaser, the woman in the 12-second clip was identified. Her name was Riley Evans, 23 years old, a backpacker from Ontario. Last seen in Amsterdam 5 weeks earlier. No formal missing persons report had been filed, her friends thought she was still traveling. But the timestamp on the footage placed her in Romania. Interpol was called in. Romania's Directorate for Investigating Organized Crime launched an operation to trace the IP address used to upload the clip. It led them to an abandoned monastery outside Timișoara, converted into an underground server farm. What they found was surreal. Inside the dark stone chapel were 11 custom-built server towers. Each housed encrypted drives. Surveillance hardwired into the walls. The pews had been removed. In their place, rows of mismatched chairs, facing a blank stage framed by crimson curtains. The room reeked of mildew and rot. On the altar, they found a violin. Its strings cut. A handwritten note attached. The conductor sees everything. From one of the server drives, they pulled thousands of archived chat logs and private video links. The messages were cryptic but obsessive. Users discussed audio quality, camera angles, narrative pacing. One message read, The scream at 37:42 was beautiful. Do it again. Slow the fade. It was art to them. And then came the worst part. One file was marked, Live Prep, Countdown. A locked live stream. Set to begin in 72 hours. Authorities scrambled. The link appeared dormant, but forensic specialists detected real-time camera pings. Someone, somewhere, had Riley. And they were planning to broadcast her death live. The FBI issued a global alert. Agencies in 5 countries launched coordinated raids. Server rooms were dismantled in Prague, Krakow, and Manchester. Each location referenced the same name in handwritten notes, hard-coded into the network metadata. The conductor. But who, or what, the conductor actually was, remained unclear. In one decrypted message, a user named JS referred to him as the original archivist. Another called him the last to touch the mask. And then, just 36 hours before the live stream was set to begin, a new video was uploaded. No platform. No watermark. Just a link shared across the dark web. It showed Riley again. This time, conscious. Crying. Speaking into a camera. She said, "Please, my name is Riley Evans. I don't know where I am. I've been here for days. There's a man who wears a conductor's hat. He doesn't talk. He plays music, but it's not real. It's a recording. It's the same song. Over and over. He said when it stops, I die." In the background, a classical symphony plays faintly, Brahms, slowed down and distorted. At the end of the clip, a single frame flashes on screen. A countdown timer. 01:09:44:07. 1 day. 9 hours. 44 minutes. 7 seconds. The clock is ticking. The room is soundproofed. No one knows where she is. And somewhere, the conductor is watching. Still. Silent. Waiting. The moment Riley Evans' plea was uploaded, the FBI activated its critical hostage recovery protocol. Every frame of the video was dissected. Agents studied the shadows, ambient sounds, even the pitch and echo of her voice, hoping for clues. The symphony in the background, Brahms' Symphony No. 1, distorted, looping, was slowed to exactly 87.3% of its original speed. That detail was not accidental. It matched a pattern found in Jeremy Niles' original footage. It was a signature. And the countdown was real. Every second matched real time. A forensic time sync confirmed the live stream was already staged and coded to go live automatically. Even if the stream was pulled, Riley would still die, on or off camera. With 27 hours remaining, a joint task force in Romania cross-referenced power grid logs with unexplained electricity spikes. One anomaly stood out, a secluded hunting cabin in the Carpathian Mountains. Built in 1932, long abandoned. Recently, someone had reactivated the utilities. By the time agents arrived, the place was empty. Inside, they found signs of life, recent food wrappers, used bandages, and a violin string nailed to the wall. Blood-stained. Underneath it, written in charcoal. She sang too early. But Riley was gone. That's when the second countdown appeared. On a new link. Different site. Same source code. This one had 2 windows, one labeled Stage and the other Audience. The stage window showed an empty chair. Dim lighting. The music played softly. The audience window was something else. Rows of IP-traced viewers, anonymous, encrypted, waiting. Watching. One IP stood out. It pinged from inside a psychiatric hospital in Düsseldorf, Germany. The patient? A man named Simon Keller, age 62. Admitted 3 years earlier under full mental lockdown. Former orchestral conductor. Arrested in 2015 after being found wandering backstage during a children's recital, mumbling about the final arrangement. Simon Keller's medical records revealed something shocking. Before his collapse, he had received over $900,000 in anonymous donations. All traced to overseas shell accounts. All sent after he published a blog called The Art of Silence. Inside the blog? Phrases identical to those found in Jeremy's manifesto. Authorities began to suspect that Simon Keller was the conductor, or at least the original mind behind it. But if Keller was locked in a hospital, who was running the show? Then, just 4 hours before the live stream began, a breakthrough. Facial recognition software pinged on a blurry figure in the background of Riley's second video. The match, Dorian Vizar, a Romanian film student who disappeared in 2019. No known connection to Jeremy Niles. No criminal history. But Dorian had worked on a thesis film about performance art in captivity. He'd also been Keller's patient during music therapy sessions in Düsseldorf. The FBI now had a name, a face, and a theory. Keller was the composer. Vizar, the new performer. And he was minutes from going live. Agents tracked Vizar's last known location to an old railway depot outside Brasov. Satellite imagery showed movement, power lines, and an internet uplink. The team was deployed. Inside the depot, they found a makeshift soundstage. 3 cameras. Theater lighting. And in the center, Riley. Alive. Gagged. Crying. They were 11 minutes early. As tactical units moved in, someone triggered a failsafe. The music stopped. The room went black. The countdown vanished. A scream echoed through the warehouse, followed by a single gunshot. And then? Silence. The gunshot echoed across the railway depot, swallowed quickly by silence. For 2 full minutes, the tactical team held their position. No movement. No response. Then came the scream. A woman's voice, hoarse, cracking, alive. Riley Evans was still breathing. Agents breached the stage room with flashbangs and floodlights. She was found zip-tied to a chair, gag removed, wrists raw and bleeding. Dazed, incoherent, but alive. No immediate sign of Dorian Wieser. Just blood on the floor, and something else. A camera still recording. The live stream had cut to black moments earlier, but the device still captured what the audience never saw. Wieser's final words. He had whispered them, crouched in front of Riley, stroking her face before stepping back into shadow. She sang too early. And now they'll find another. Authorities swarmed the building. Drones scanned rooftops. Forensic dogs searched tunnels below the platform. They found no body. No sign of Dorian. No footprints. Just a single pair of neatly folded clothes, and a conductor's hat. Dorian had vanished. Riley was airlifted to a trauma center in Bucharest. She stayed silent for 19 hours. Then, without prompting, she said. He never blinked. I don't think he was alone in there. She described the days in captivity, drugged meals, the same 4 classical tracks on repeat, the sound of pacing, boots circling her at night. But the most disturbing detail? She insisted someone else had watched from behind the walls. They never spoke. Just breathing. Sometimes a violin string would pluck. Just once. No melody. While Riley recovered, forensic teams decrypted the last of the server drives found in the depot. Inside one folder, they discovered something not meant to be seen. Blueprints. Detailed diagrams of another facility, underground, multi-leveled, lined with rooms. At the top of each floor plan was the word auditorium. Another location. Possibly active. But this one wasn't in Europe. Metadata in the design files listed GPS coordinates in Rockland County, New York. Just 40 miles north of where Danica Hollister was found. This wasn't a new cell. It was an older one. And it wasn't abandoned. 4 days after Riley's rescue, an unmarked envelope was delivered to a local news station in Charleston. Inside was a single photograph. Grainy. Black and white. It showed a young woman in a chair, staring directly into the lens. Not Danica. Not Riley. Someone else. On the back, written in red ink. Final girl, second stage. Curtain rises August 3rd. The girl in the photo appeared to be around 19. And behind her, barely visible in the shadows, was the silhouette of a man. Wearing a conductor's hat. Rockland County, New York. August 2nd, 2021. 1 day before the date on the photograph. A federal task force converged on the wooded outskirts of Haverstraw, specifically, a long-abandoned performing arts camp shuttered since the 1990s. Officially condemned. Unofficially forgotten. But the coordinates matched. Exactly. On the surface, it was what you'd expect: rotting cabins, graffiti-smeared rec halls, raccoons nesting in broken piano shells. But underground? That was different. Agents discovered a hidden elevator shaft beneath the camp's main theater. Rigged to a backup generator. Just large enough to lower one person at a time. They descended. What they found beneath the forest was unlike anything they'd encountered before. A man-made structure. Poured concrete walls. Soundproofed. Temperature-controlled. Cameras mounted in every corner. One long hallway led to 6 identical rooms, each painted black, with a single folding chair bolted to the center. On every door, a brass placard engraved with a name. Each name matched a previous victim, Danica Hollister. Allison Price. 2 others previously unidentified. Except one door was different. Its placard read, R. Evans, rejected. Inside that room, nothing but chains on the floor and walls covered in musical notation, hand-drawn in black ink. Jagged. Unfinished. And in the far corner, what looked like teeth. Human. Dozens of them. Laid out in a pattern. In the central control room, the monitors were dead. The feed had been cut months earlier. But someone had left a message on the main screen. Second stage in progress. Another screen showed a frozen image. A paused live stream. The girl from the photograph. They now had a face. The FBI circulated her image through national databases. No hits. Not missing. Not reported. No school enrollment. No digital footprint. Like she never existed. Until one agent noticed something strange. In the background of the frozen image, on the far wall behind the girl, was a dusty mirror. And in the reflection, was another face. One they recognized instantly. Jeremy Niles. But Jeremy had been in custody for months. They pulled the photo from multiple angles, enhanced the image, checked timestamps. There was no mistake. Either someone was recreating his likeness, or Jeremy never worked alone. Then came the call. An anonymous tip to the Charleston tip line. No voice. Just text-to-speech. It said, I know who the girl is. She was never supposed to be seen. They're calling her Clara. She's not the next victim. She's the next performer.